everybody. Richard Moore. On Facebook, it's North Mississippi Anti-Gang Stalking Association. YouTube, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. You can also follow us on Quora, U.S. Anti-Gang Stalking, and on Instagram and some other platforms. And for those that follow us on Quora, I made a post that we have surpassed the 100,000 view mark. We've done it in a really short period of time. Maybe we've done this in the bulk of it, probably the last 5 or 6 months. So you can follow us on Quora and submit questions and get answers, so forth and so on. As far as people that are interested in us documenting their story, evidence, identification of perpetrators and crimes against yourself, you're welcome to form that on a direct message. You can do that through Facebook. You can also message me through Instagram, and that's all lowercase, Richard_Moore_TI. And so you can message me through that. So I get a lot of feedback of people saying, well, we've got all these 3-letter agencies that are watching that. And folks, this is the society that we live in now. And we don't enjoy any privacy. There's no such thing as anyone in America especially, but moreover this planet, that enjoys any type of privacy. Your telephone calls, text messages, emails, so forth and so on. You have to understand it's not so much as the device you're using or the apps that you're downloading. However, there's a lot of what I call perp apps that you'll see these fake TIs touting how they've caught a network of people on their phone and so forth. And you download these apps and you're given exclusive permission in these apps. You're not reading the fine print in there. So it's pretty easy how they get on your phone because you're downloading these silly apps to track stalkers. I'm a more of a conventional method type individual. I use my eyeballs, first of all. There's not an app for that. As far as the electric frequencies, you can get a tri-field meter. This is a tri-field meter. There's several companies that make them. You can order them through Amazon. And you can actually measure these microwave frequencies. They're maliciously being used against victims of organized stalking. They're called it Havana syndrome. I mean, for the like of me, I've never been to Havana, and I don't know if it's a syndrome or not. It's a crime that's being willfully and recklessly and systematically directed at other human beings. This is a systemic problem, folks. A systemic problem that comes from the highest order. So it's no secret that millions, and I mean millions of people, are being targeted And I'm going to say that the majority of these people have no idea there's a name for it or what's really going on. They're often marginalized, dismissed, written off as being suffering some type of um, uh, certified psychosis. But you, as a victim, know full and well what's going on. You, as a perpetrator, know full well what's going on. And folks, let me tell you, there's no legal loophole or law that okays what these people are doing. It's intended, the whole program is intended that once the victim reports what they're seeing, hearing, or going through, will dovetail directly into some type of psychosis. Now, this is the holistic approach to community policing, which means everybody doing their part. That's the medical profession, mental health profession, the law enforcement, and then your local fake church and your local fake Christians, to name a few. We can throw the Masons in there. They've always been shady, and nobody's ever really know what they've got going on. And but I can tell you one thing: I've been documenting for years, and so I don't think Masons are involved. I know they're involved. Anything that you hear me say, I can back it up in spades. If you've watched some of my posts recently, we have a court date set for next year for trial. Have a trial date with our first federal action, our second federal action, Lee County, Mississippi. Those individuals have been served by the United States Marshal Service, and I anticipate I'll give you the trial date on that when that becomes available. So I've given and I posted the date. So if you're anywhere in the vicinity of Oxford, Mississippi, during this deal, then you might want to attend. You might want to attend to educate yourself, or for whatever reason. It is a public forum. Contrary to what these fake TI groups will tell you, we're not in a Pfizer court. It's not secret, and we're going to tell it. And you can believe we're going to tell it. So with that said, I've just had this really grinding and bothering me. I keep this in my wallet in this little plastic folder here. It's two phone numbers that were handwritten by a lady that's no longer with us, and I keep it in my wallet. And this little piece of paper, folks, is says a lot. And when I say a lot, I'm going to talk about those that are culpable in crimes that unspeakable. It's not like I look forward to talking about these things, but I have no choice. Corrupt law enforcement, Chickasaw County, Mississippi. That's Oklahoma, Houston. And then we can go over to Lee County. I just mentioned them. We have Tupelo and Nettleton and Gundown. and Nettleton is shared with Monroe County, and they're just as corrupt and culpable. And then we can go down the list. Of course, Lowndes County is absolutely a cesspool and a petri dish of its own, where they have the Air Force training base there. And I can tell you what, folks, when we talk about sex trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, murder for hire, criminal stalking, property crimes, civil and constitutional systematic violations against American citizens, the places that I've just named, folks, you don't have to look any further. But this is a bigger, like I said, a systemic problem. It involves more people than North Mississippi. It goes all the way to Washington, D.C. and Langley and all those places. So the monster is big. I've told this story before, but I've got to tell it again. A little over 3 years ago. Now, this is prior to me realizing that there was actually a written manifesto, if you will, as it refers to organized criminal stalking. Of course, they call it something else: community policing, citizens patrol, cops program, so forth and so on. Still having the mindset of somehow that if a person is in need or in trouble and feels that as if they're in danger, or if they are in danger, that they can simply call 911 and you're reaching out to the people that we pay as taxpayers to protect and serve. And it took me years to absolutely come to the conclusion that it's protect and serve their own self-interest. It has nothing to do with American citizens. They take an oath on a Bible they hadn't read and swear to a God they don't believe in. They absolutely hate this Constitution. They hate the rule of law. They hate due process. My friend, these are the people that when you go to the poll and you elect these sheriffs, or the mayor appoints these mayors that appoint these chiefs of police, they are the ones on the front lines that are running this criminal enterprise in every county. And so if you're confused at who's doing it, I just told you who's doing it. That there's not a law enforcement official breathing that's not aware of this program. Now, will they admit to it? Well, let me tell you what, folks. Many have, and many no longer have careers. Many end up on the other side of the spectrum, like we are today. Well, over 3 years ago, I was very conscious of, I had already done a considerable amount of time in prison, state and federal prison, on a set up bogus charge. Went to trial, lost. I didn't realize how sophisticated and how much planning that these individuals go to and go through in order to destroy and discredit an individual. But my friend, it is absolutely, they pull all the stops. The first thing they do is a character assassination, and then they affect your job, your income. They make it impossible. They make everything impossible and difficult to get services, to get your homework done, you name it. Now, how are they intervening in that? Well, they do that because they're listening to your phone calls. They watch your text messages and emails. Not only that, I've got box loads of devices, sensors for tracking my movement inside of my house, cameras and transmitters and so forth. I've got it. I've posted that stuff, and folks, I've got that stuff until the cows come home. Okay, this is not any type of psychosis. It's absolutely real. So I've got so much footage of that Union County deputy showing up at my house, a SWAT team like manner, coming in from all angles of my property and jamming my camera system while stalkers are passing by and shouting profanities out the window. All this happening at the same time. And they were trying to serve a misdemeanor warrant for me, calling me a stalker because I put a stalker on blast because I named names that are not comfortable with that. Well, I can tell you what, folks. Better hold on to your seat because here comes some names. All right. So here comes some names. So I was aware that that I was being followed everywhere I went, no matter what time of the night, whatever. These clowns were posted up, relaying and followed me, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. I've wasted. I wished I had $1 for every day I wasted on trying to catch one of these cowards. You can't catch. They're hard to catch, I can tell you. And they know, and I know that I do everything I can to discourage following and stalking because that's a crime, and I don't like it, and so I will. There's not anything I can't think of that I wouldn't and won't do in order to prevent some creep from stalking and following me, watching me. I mean, we're just not going to do that, folks. Not going to have it. But I was trying to get in touch, and this man is deceased, and so I'm not. It doesn't mean any disrespect to him or his family. They haven't gotten the story, or they may know the story. God forbid. But I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you what the newspapers and law enforcement have not given you. And that's the truth. So I was aware that this man in Oklahoma, Mississippi, his name is Fred Stevens, had some property adjoining Eddie Roberts. And they had some disagreements through the past, and Eddie Roberts managed to go in and get an attorney and a banker. This is all underhanded criminal mafia stalking, folks. And he wanted that land that was left to Fred Stevens by his mother. When she passed, that all went to him. And through some type of technicality, Fred was in the hospital or something like that. They took advantage. They always exploit when they find what is perceived a weakness. You know, I'll drive for hundreds and thousands of miles. And it's at that time they will become the most dastardly with their stupidity to exploit my fatigue and to attempt to force error and for me to have a fatal accident or what have you. And so I've got tons of footage of those things, of cars pinning you in, running you off the road, and then a state trooper or something posted up to back their plate. All this is orchestrated. All you've got to do is have a couple of set of eyeballs and watch. without any narration. It's real obvious what's going on, what they do. This is not legal, by the way. It's not legal. So I had lost the number, and I wanted to talk with Fred because for some reason, well, for a lot of reasons, I knew this Eddie Roberts. He lives in Oklahoma, and if you ever want to see a face of someone that's miserable and hate, it's all over him. I mean that whole flock. To be more specific with it, you can see it. You can see the evil that drives these people. They're not happy people. They're not happy people. And I knew that a word had gotten back to me that Roberts had made several statements, including placing bets on who would last the longest and so forth and so on. I also noticed that one of my devices had been connected to his Wi-Fi at his house. I live 35, 40 miles from him. I hadn't been anywhere near his house or trying to connect to his Wi-Fi. So why was it on my device? So it was several things because we've got some imminent criminal things that are going to be taking place due to these civil complaints that we're making. I'm trying to be careful on some of these particulars. But so I didn't have Fred's phone number, but I wanted to talk to him. I knew him just on a professional level at a business he was help running. He was involved with there in Oklahoma. And so never met his wife. Now they're in their 60s, late 60s, somewhere in there. Knew where he lived. So I decided one night. It was I remember it was a dark. It was already dark, and it was a real stormy night. Wind, rain. I'm talking torrential rains. And I took off. I kind of figured that that would probably make it a little more difficult for these morons with the drones. And I'm going to tell you about the drones here in a minute. It was the Guntown Police Department that told me about the drones. It wasn't me telling them. They told me, okay? So let's clear that up. So I show up. I knock on the door, and Fred comes to the door. And I told him why I was there. And he invited me in, and he introduced me to his wife, Childa. I had a seat, and Childa, a nice lady, was explaining to me that Fred had just gotten out of the VA hospital, and they had changed his medications up, and so he was obviously, you could tell that he was on some type of medication that maybe a Thorazine or something like that, if you would, something that was some type of sedative. And so I said, look, I know that you've had some issues in the past. And I'm talking to Fred, but his wife's in there. We're sitting in their living room. And with this Roberts guy, I'm having some problems as well. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. That's all I had to say. And roughly for 2 hours, Miss Stevens, Childa Stevens, started talking. As she talked, I'm just sitting there, slack jawed at what she was telling me, at what Eddie Roberts had been doing, how they even is going as far as dressing up in a disguise as someone with AT&T and forcing his way into their home, and threatening them and ranting and raving, on and on and on. And Fred wasn't home at the moment that happened. Me not realizing while I'm in this house that their house, like my house, was being fully monitored. Everything was being said in that living room was not only being seen by these criminals, but they was hearing it. And I didn't really have much input because things that I had never mentioned to anybody else, things that I had only suspected, things I had hunches on, she was confirming it in spades. This elderly couple were victims of criminal stalking, just like myself. Childa wrote these phone numbers down, and she pressed them in my hand, and she said, please, if you can get an interview with the FBI, who knew that was the fox guard in the hen house? If you can get an interview with the FBI, please send them to talk to me and Fred. And she pointed over there at Fred. She says, I don't know how much longer he's going to make it because they have literally drove him insane. I never will forget. He picked his phone up. He said, this is Richard. And he took a picture of me. Well, I didn't mind. I mean, let's just keep it real, folks. If you're a victim of organized stalking, you don't have any privacy. I found listening and cameras and all these things in my bathroom and everything else. There are no rules. These people are sick and perverted, but they operate under secrecy, just like the Klan. They wore a mask. The Ku Klux Klan, people say, oh, it's just a group. They're non-existent. Don't kid yourself, folks. They're just not wearing the hoods anymore. Why did they wear the hoods and the mask? Because it was preachers. It was a Christian organization, according to them. It was judges, police officers, school teachers, pillars of the community, murdering African Americans, also murdering white people that didn't behave properly, that they didn't agree with, their morals or whatever it was. The Klan's alive and well, folks. Trust me on that. The dirty South is just as dirty as it's ever been, if not worse. I've posted information about Mississippi's program on this Citizens Patrol and this COPS program. If you'll do your research and look at the playbook of the Hitler's Stasi program, is take Stasi off the top and put Department of Homeland Security, that you won't have to change anything else. You will not have to change anything else. It's the same program. We often refer to the FBI's banned COINTELPRO program. Folks, this is the Stasi program makes COINTELPRO look like a walk through the park. Now, less than a week and a half. I tried. I called Sheriff Jim Myers, the sheriff of Chickasaw County. If those people in Chickasaw County that elected to put him in, let me tell you, not only is he a criminal, but you've got blood on your hands too for casting that ballot. Yes. When the American people start standing up against tyranny and against civil and constitutional rights violations, folks, it's not a pretty picture. And that's absolutely what we're dealing with here today. I placed several calls to the sheriff. He never returned the call. FBI as well. I spoke with the FBI major crime, organized crimes hotline, and specifically spoke with them about the Stevens family, my situation. And I said it involves, there's a lot of people involved. There's people involved. There's satanic cults involved, churches involved. I said, but there's dead children. There's children that have been raped and are continuing to be raped and molested by these people. And I know their names and who they are. I would think that that would be an interest, maybe at least to Jim Hood, that fat slob that's sitting on his ass in Houston, Mississippi. That's in Chickasaw County. He's no longer the attorney general. He ran for governor. The audacity, thinking that he could get elected governor. The fact he got in as attorney general just absolutely blows my mind. None of these people, the attorney general, I've documented. I've got the letters I sent these people. Nobody interested. Week and a half after I met with the Stevens couple, I got a phone call. And this individual that called me was aware that I had been down there and absolutely received some mind-boggling information from two senior citizens. And because at this point, you know, I was really getting heavily gaslighted by everybody I know. You see, that's part of the deal. Family members, are you taking your medication? Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, I wasn't taking my medication because I'm not on medication and I'm not prescribed medication or any of that. So when to say that pisses me off is an understatement. Are you taking your medication? The psychopath is a person standing in front of you pretending like you're having some kind of psychosis. Well, you may do things that's off kilter when you're sleep deprived, when you're forced into unemployment, when you're made unemployable, when they're trying to make you homeless or have made you homeless, when your friends and family have all but abandoned you, you've been isolated, your vehicle destroyed, one after another, mobs of people mobbing you on the highway, on the freeway. You're constantly going through this deal. So could you be off a little off key every now and then? You betcha. You betcha. The program is designed for, of course, the target to self-implode. So I got the phone call. Are you sitting down? I said, what is it? Just tell me what is it? I don't like these lead-ins. Are you sitting down? Just tell me. And I was told that Childa Stevens had just been murdered, supposedly by her husband, Fred, which was on life support from self-inflicted knife stab wounds to his stomach. I've never heard of that. I was speechless. I attended Childa Stevens' wake in Houston. I didn't know anybody there. And I looked at the coffin, and And I wasn't talking to anybody, but I said, I still got your numbers, children. And I promise you, I will not let them get away with what has happened. They blamed it on the husband, Fred. Now, folks, let me tell you, I wasn't there. He remained in the Chickasaw County jail. They dropped it down to involuntary, something, whatever. He died from complications to these supposed self-inflicted stab wounds in Chickasaw County Jail. I mean, it was unbelievable. Now, they did make it public about how he died and all that and who was involved, but we got the same group of people. I called Sheriff Myers. As soon as I heard that, I said, you need to call me. I left you a message on his cell phone. I said, I was in that house and I've got information. I don't know what you think went on there or what you've been told or what you think you're looking at, but you need to talk to me. And I need to tell you their story as they told it to me and give you the facts that I have surrounding that situation prior to their death. And he finally got a dispatcher to call me to tell me to quit calling him. And I told her, I said, you tell that son of a bitch if he wants me to quit calling, he can call me himself. He never did. The coroner was Michael Fowler. He's one of the ringleaders in the criminal stalking in Chickasaw County. He's one that makes sure that the dope addicts have got plenty of dope. They pay the stalkers with dope. They green light their behavior, their criminal behavior. He's the main handler and the coroner and whatever else you want to call him. He's worse than anything you could ever step in and scrape off the bottom of your shoe, folks. Let me tell you. When I say corruption, I just gave you two names. FBI. It's been over 3 years, folks, and I've yet to have anyone in law enforcement sit down and take a statement. So there's only two plausible reasons why they've never taken my statement on that. One, they already knew what happened, really what happened, and what had been happening, because they were the ones watching and listening and torturing these two individuals. That's one plausible reason why they hadn't taken it. The other plausible reason they hadn't taken it is, God forbid, that we take a statement from Richard Moore and investigate it, because we've already got it in the pipeline that he's insane. We can't give him any credibility. So if we investigate it and make an arrest or something and several arrests, and it involves attorneys, judges, bankers, folks, all the power players got their hands in the till on this Stevens murder in Oklahoma. So they couldn't do that because they said, well, hold a minute. I thought you said he was crazy about the other things he was reporting, but he's not crazy about this one he's reporting. So we've got to dismiss everything. I'm going to yield to the first one because one of my personal stalkers asked me a year and a half later what I was doing, what my picture was doing on Fred Stevens' phone. I never told one soul about him taking that picture. I'd like to know how my stalker knew my picture was on that phone when I didn't tell anybody. Which he lives there close. It's a whole pocket of them, okay? folks, these people, what you see in daylight, what you're seeing, and who you think you know is not who you think you know. I could name deputy sheriffs right now working for the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Department that troll, and pick up underage boys and girls for sex. Obviously, Jimmy Rapay went too far, and there's no telling how many underage people he raped, and the pornography they found, and all this stuff. And I think he went to a therapy deal for about a month, and now he's got a thriving grass cutting business, and in Oklahoma, and got all the United Furniture, and of course they have these. Everybody playing their part. United Furniture opens the doors and puts these people to work, and gives them jobs. And I mean, really. I mean, you got Simmons Furniture, which is a nationally and internationally known brand that recognizably and knowingly employ known rapists, drug traffickers, and child molesters, and you name it. And I don't know if Simmons, I think they're based out of Atlanta, Georgia. They mattress company, and then their furniture brand is made by United Furniture, and they're a big outfit. And so United Furniture made their mark in the furniture business by stealing the designs from all the other manufacturers, changing it slightly, using cheap labor, cheap materials, and flooding the market with garbage, and ultimately putting the quality manufacturers out of business. And so that's how they made their mark, is by hook and crook. So the drum beat is still being beat for Fred and Childa Stevens. The sheriff of Chickasaw County, and now the Attorney General Lynn Fitch of Mississippi, former Attorney General Jim Hood, they all need to be tried in the highest courts of this land and spend the rest of their lives in a penitentiary for these crimes they've committed under the color of law. And let me tell you, folks, I've read the code many times. And if a crime is committed under the color of law, that's where whether, regardless of what part they played in, they knew what was going on, they participated in it, that falls for that. If a death results in a crime under the color of law, then the federal statute calls for the death penalty for that crime. This is how serious it is, folks. It's Article 8. It's 18, Section 242, I believe what it is. I've got it here, and many of you know what it is, and so that's neither here nor there, but that's a fact. I personally was involved in a setup that was orchestrated by these criminal stalkers, and they attempted to make they made a bogus traffic stop. I had a perp in my vehicle, and he had drugs and so forth on him, and it was a bus gone bad. I didn't go to jail. The perp went to jail, but that was pomp and circumstance. Possession of methamphetamine, on and on, possession of this, possession of that, blah, 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 blah. They couldn't even get an indictment. I mean, really? They took things out of my vehicle and so I'm calling them back. And of course, they're telling me after holding me 2 hours on the side of the highway on this bogus setup here that went wrong. This gun town, it's Lee County, Mississippi. And I'm going to save that story for another day, because that dance is not over. That party's not over, and the song's still playing. You can believe that, God town. But so the police officer, one of the main police officers, he was continuously on the phone. If we can get those records with his handler, trying to devise and figure out a way they could somehow arrest me. Okay, and it didn't work. I didn't go for it. They know now that their little stupid idiot programs, not everybody's going to fall for that. Not everybody is a sucker like they think they are. And you go ahead, make a false arrest. Make a false arrest. Y'all have made plenty of them. And these cases I'm filing in federal court are evidence of that. And let me tell you, folks, I've just gotten started. I'm going to expose them come hell or high water. I'm not trying to get a petition drive or cheerleading section or a mob of people to hoorah me or anything else. I've got God that I walk with, and that's who I answer to. That is who I have to make happy. That is who I have to please. That is who defines me, what God says I am and who I am. What these people say I am and who and all of that is coming straight out of their rear end. So you as victims need to understand this. Document what's going on. Document what's happened. The times you've called law enforcement, they either did something or didn't do it. There's your start, folks. We have a civil and constitutional rights, and they have a duty to do their damn job. And if not, we have a duty to hold them accountable in a federal courtroom. It's that simple. It's that simple. I've got my last video. I posted the steps you need to take. Folks, that's where you need to spend your time. That's the material you need to be reading. You've already got all the horror stories you need that's happened to you. I don't know why in the world you want to spend time sharing horror stories with other people. That's all they want to talk about. That's all they want to talk about. I want to talk about winning. I want to talk about victory. Because, folks, I'm telling you, victory is and will be ours. Save this clip of me telling you this, okay? It's been just a shade over a year since I started this association. And early into it, I started seeing all these groups in the social media. I said, oh, it makes sense. It's Truman Show. Hell, they've got everything stacked. Junk science, fake whistleblowers, celebrity TIs, got a vanishing and dying. I don't know if they're dying or not, folks. I know that people are taking their lives and dying. But some of these celebrity TIs, they just get a different assignment or something. Who knows? These people are not known for telling the truth about anything. If their mouth is moving, they're telling a damn lie. You can believe it. If it's moving in the slightest, they're lying. They're lying. Now, there's other murders. There's other people who died. You would think law enforcement would be interested in these things. You'd think that. You'd think that a deputy sheriff that had raped several underage girls that wouldn't be out here running a lawnmower business and shaking hands at a church every Sunday, would you? But he is. I just told you his name. That's a fact. That's a fact. That is a fact. You wouldn't think that Monroe County Sheriff's Department, that Curtis Knight and a corrupt attorney, Jeff Navarro, and the Amory, Mississippi Police Department would spend over a year to stage and incubate a crime in order to extinguish my life, to reduce me, to annihilate me, to take me from something to nothing, that they wouldn't take that much time, but they did. And I can prove it. And they know it. I'm telling you, folks, that's the way it is. And I'm going to keep. So I wanted to make this day a day that I made sure that I kept my promise to Tilda and Fred Stevens. You see, they've taken everything else I've got. They have absolutely destroyed everything I've ever worked for in my life. Tampering and stealing and breaking into my house, and law enforcement even showing up while they were doing it and saying, "This is Union County." Said they said you said they could be there. This kind of moronic insanity, folks, must come to an end, and it will. That is what drives me. I do not make it about Richard Moore. I make it about so many right now that are watching this that are hopeless. They've given up. They're overwhelmed. They feel like that there's nowhere to turn, and there is. There is a place to turn, because there's nothing. Tell me one thing that God cannot do. Folks, let me tell you, God sees it. He understands it. He's not going to impose himself. If you'll turn to him and let God handle the rest, you'll start seeing a change. There's victory in what Jesus did at Calvary's cross. That's the only victory. The only victory that will ever matter. If you meet me and forget, nothing. But folks, if you forget about Jesus, you lost it all. You absolutely lost it all. I'm here today because God has had a plan. Many of you, God has got a plan for you. You can either take what the devil sold you, or you can give it back to him. The minute you give back everything the devil gave you, all the lies, all the broken dreams, all the broken promises, all the heartaches, all those tears, and all those valleys, when you give it back, then God's going to prepare you. He's going to prepare you like he's prepared me. I said, God, what do you want me to do? I said, I know the people that are doing this. He said, go back into the enemy's camp and take what they've taken from you. Go get them. That's what God told me to do. Go get them. My friend, that's what I'm doing. I'm not backing down. I will not back down. I've got enough work right now to keep me busy for 1,000 years. Trust me. When you don't see me on here making a video, you best believe. You best believe behind the scenes that this old boy is doing something. That not for me. I'm doing this for every single victim that's not with us. The ones that have no voice. The ones that have nowhere to turn. I can only do this. I can offer you. I give you Jesus. And I'm telling you, folks, when you give God everything you got, give the devil back all his lies. You know what God will give you in return? Everything he has. That's a heck of a, that's a deal that you can't beat. That's the only way, folks. That is the only answer. There was a time in my life, I'm ashamed to say, I would hear that. I said, well, I want more than that. My God, I repented countless times for that thought. How could we possibly want more than what God's perfection will give? God says, bless those who curse you. Pray for those that spitefully use you. And I will heap fires of coal on their head. And I've prayed and blessed those that have come against me by name. It wasn't easy. My God is a promise keeper. Every promise in that Bible is mine. I'm here because to break me, they have to break God. God can't be broken, my friend. God cannot be broken. That's the reason thousands of these evil, corrupt, despicable, pathetic excuses of humanity, as they come against me, I've got a God that has drawn a bloodline in the sand and says no fishing allowed. The Great Commission in the book of Matthew says, go ye therefore into all nations, preaching and teaching and baptizing in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Ghost. He said, go. You don't sit on your butt, curl up in a fetal position and holler, woe is me. I'm not going to do it. I hadn't been doing it and don't plan on doing it. So I challenge each victim to square your shoulders and hold your head up. Quit trying to figure everything out. God's already got it figured out. If you'll sit down a minute and just take some notes and get along and get along with God. So he's got you isolated good. That's what he told me. He said, maybe you got some time for me. And honey, we had cap meat and still having it. I'll promise you that. He said he will open doors that no man can close. And he'll close doors that no man can open. I'm a living testament of that. I want to hear from others. Now, folks, it's difficult for me to, people want me to call them and stuff like that. I'm telling you, there's so much that I have to go through on a daily basis to further our cause and what we're doing. It's not like I can call and hire a bunch of people to come in and help me. God forbid that happened. I've already had enough help. I'm here today because I had so many people helping me, if you know what I mean. But I do have people helping me though, and I do have very capable people that, thank God, they're smarter than me. They're helping me. People that are associated with all different professions, including the media. And I'm not talking about social media. This has been in the works for a long time. And the fakes can't stand me. Good. The feeling is mutual. I don't want any fake. We'll leave it at that. Okay. If you can't keep it, real, just take it somewhere else. That's the people posing these silly ass questions and stuff like that. And I see it every day, and that's just absolutely is not going to get us to some closure and get some of these people in a courtroom and have them exposed to due process, which we've been denied. And the very Constitution they spit on, we're going to hold it over their head, and they've got some answering to do. Everybody's not in on it. I'm sorry. I know it seems like everybody's in on it, but they're not. They're not. It's not going to be easy, folks. But I'm telling you, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and that's what we're doing. We're winning every day. We are making progress. We are making progress. I encourage you as a victim to start taking action yourself. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. My last video, I go into detail about the simple steps you need to take. I made a couple on there. United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. It's on YouTube. It's for the folks on Facebook and the Fusion Center or wherever else you're watching me from. And I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but folks, let me tell you, I wished it was just tongue in cheek. I wish it was, but it's not. It's a documented public fact of what these morons do. They're despicable. They have no business even being in the United States of America, much less calling themselves an American citizen. And these community perverts that are out here torturing and tormenting children, women, and the elderly, like it's okay. Folks, that hate ride is coming to an end. You hear me? Do you hear me, stalker, perverts, criminal, corrupt law enforcement? It's not going to last. It's not going to last. I'm telling you, it's not going to last. I'm not the only person. We've had enough. We're sick and tired. We're sick and tired. You put these people in a very compromising situation. I made a post today. I said, I need some people here in the Truman Show to quit playing Truman Show and let's take the control room, because I'm a little tired of it. How many more people need to die, be tortured, and put in misery because you think you've got the green light to do this to another human being? You're a pathetic, absolutely excuse for humanity, any individual that participates in this. Until next time, follow me on Facebook, North Mississippi Anti-Gang Stalking Association. This does not mean, folks, that what I'm doing, I'm in Arizona right now. I've traveled from coast to coast. I've been up from one end of California to the next in Florida. It's everywhere. I'm aware of that. I have done interviews with other people and told their stories, and I will continue to do that. With these legal things that we've got going right now, it constricts my schedule. So anybody that's in the Phoenix, Arizona area, or wherever you are, and want to tell your story, or would like to be interviewed on camera, then just let me hear from you, and we'll take it from there. Until next time, God bless you.